as we recognize more and more the living field of presence that is already here, so that we no longer have to practice presence. We no longer have to be present. We no longer have to admonish ourselves for not being present. But we quietly recognize as an ongoing unfoldment, an ongoing revelation, that presence is all there is. Everything arises within this field of presence, even the seeming forgetting, even the seeming contraction, even the seeming being lost. All of that which is an experience. You experience feeling lost. You experience forgetting and remembering. All of it takes place in the living field of presence. Nothing stands outside of this. The more we really recognize this as a felt sense, very subtle, very quiet, then this presence starts to reveal itself as an indescribable intimacy with life itself. Even intimacy becomes redundant because there aren't two anymore. There are no longer two, there is only one beingness manifesting as everything. Emptiness manifesting as fullness. And here we touch the essence of love. This is where presence and love are two sides of a gossamer thin coin, a gossamer thin line. They are two sides of the same. This is where we no longer have to retreat into presence. We no longer have to turn inwards. Inwards and outwards again become a redundant division. Presence, love are recognized as the very substance of life itself, as it is experienced. Not life out there with me as the observer, the witness, or the doer, but all that moves within this, not within this body. This body also appears within this, but all that moves within the field of presence, within the field of being. Again, nothing stands outside of this. There's a saying from Ramana Maharshi that goes like this. He said, "The heart is the center of the self. That from which thoughts arise is the heart. When the mind subsides into the heart, the self shines forth of its own accord." This points to that which we are attempting to touch or taste here. Whilst he says the heart is the center of the self is written with a capital S. It is the felt sense, the direct revelation that the true heart, not the personal heart, the true heart is in all things, as is the self, the true self. In other words, heart and self, for convenience, with a capital H and a capital S, are the very essence of being, or have undone and become one with beingness, which they already are. It's just the recognition of that. What does it mean that when mind subsides into the heart, or that from which thoughts arise is the heart? This is simply pointing to when we stop giving allegiance to the movement of thought activity, and therefore we're not deriving our identity from thought activity. It's not that thinking stops. No, the waves keep moving, and thinking is a valuable function when we need to apply ourselves to something, navigating the 3D world. But when we stop giving allegiance to every thought that arises, which is arising from a karmic impulse or conditioning, memory, identity, narrative, and so on, then mind subsides into heart. In other words, there's no more separation. There's only one being. We're not concerned with the problem of thinking. It's no longer a problem. Neither are we concerned about coming into the personal heart. It's all one. And then true self, true beingness shines through all things. Every thought, whilst we think it arises in this little container called mind, if we really examine it, where does a thought arise from? It arises out of nothing. It arises out of no thing. Can you actually locate somewhere a thought arises from? Oh, but it's in my brain. This is a concept. This is one viewpoint. But what if we have no viewpoint and actually examine nakedly? It arises seemingly out of nothing, and it disappears into nothing. It arises out of being itself. It arises out of presence itself, or within presence, and dissolves back into presence. So this beingness, which has both presence and love in it, is the source out of which everything is experienced, everything arises. And so we don't have to struggle to get rid of thoughts. We don't have to berate ourselves for the very natural movement of thought activity. We simply don't focus our attention on that, so that attention naturally returns to source. This is the same with everything that we experience: sensation, breath, even pain. We may say, oh, pain is in my body, tension is in my body, contraction is in my body. And yes, there is a localized perception. But if you really examine it again, without focusing right in, you will see that pain, tension, contraction is experienced within the one seamless field of presence. Mm. This wider perspective, shall we say, brings a intimacy, aliveness, and yet lightness to all experience. It's only when we localize attention that it becomes a problem, it becomes a torment, becomes something that's happening to me. And this wider perspective means that we live as love. Love lives itself through us. We don't have to cultivate love. We don't have to practice being a more loving person. It moves through us, not as an emotion, not as a relationship of subject and object, but as the very nature of life, living itself, expressing itself through the breath, through sensation, through mind, through body, through feeling, and through contraction, through discomfort, through uncertainty, and through openness and ease and joy, all of it. Nothing stands outside of this. This starts to dissolve any imaginary separation between you and life. There's only one seamless field of being, alive, intimate, and unfolding. The heart or love is the center of everything, and yet there is no center for the me. The me has undone and, if you like, merged into the totality.